Hey everybody, welcome back into our NBA TV studios. I'm Kristen Ledlow alongside our Hall of Famer, Kevin McHale. You got a big smile on your face because that's not exactly what I think that we thought it was going to look like down the stretch. Our Sam Mitchell is joining us as well. Coach, let me get to you first, because for all the conversation about whether or not a superstar in the regular season is going to be able to show up under the bright lights of the playoffs, Devin Booker certainly did so. 34, 7, and 8 in his first ever playoff game.
Impressive. I mean, the Lakers have proven by winning the championship last year that they're primetime players. You know, AD and LeBron, as good as it gets. Booker, you hadn't seen him under the real bright lights yet. And there's definitely two different seasons. There's the regular season, there's the playoffs. The playoffs are so different. And I was just impressed with the young man. He came out, he just played really well. But, you know, they do a good job of defending as a team. Bridges and Crowder are really good at keeping people in front of them. Booker just gets into a comfort zone offensively. Those guys don't need the ball a lot. They play well off it. And Chris Paul has been great for that team. Chris Paul, I think, gave them an edge, and he also gave them like the confidence. He just plays with such a swagger, you know, even when his bad shoulder and he was having tough time handling the ball, but he just plays with such confidence. And I think everybody grows off that, and Booker's like a legitimate big-time superstar basketball player that can carry teams, and it's going to be fun to see how this series progresses. Lakers lose the next one. Ooh.
I typically call you both coach. I just realized that. So, Sam, let me get to you. How much of what we saw from Devin in this game was part of that groundwork that he started laying last July in the bubble when the NBA season resumed in Orlando?
Every bit of it, Christian. I mean, when you watch this Phoenix Suns team play, especially their young players, if you're Monty Williams, if you're this organization, you got to be ecstatic that not only Devin Booker, but DeAndre Ayton stepped up and played big time for you. And that's what you want. Look, we know how special Chris Paul is, future Hall of Famer, but Chris Paul is getting older. So for the future of this franchise to keep moving forward, you want to see your young guys take that step, especially in the playoffs. And when you look at Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton today, they played lights out. And Mac, to your point, if the Lakers lose game 2 and LeBron can't get right, think about this. Devin Booker got up 26 shots. LeBron only took 13 shots today. In this type of series, your superstars got to step up, and you got to work to get shots up and give yourself a chance.
I'm glad you mentioned DeAndre Ayton because, Coach, to step up in this kind of a scenario, facing the reigning champions, knowing the pressure he would face inside in the paint, and to give you 21 points, to grab 16 rebounds, but also to do it so efficiently on 10 of 11 from the field. What can be said of his emergence?
I mean, I love the 8 offensive rebounds. That's 8 extra possessions your team gets. The offensive rebounds really, especially in playoff situations, just demoralize the other team. I mean, you play good defense, they get the offensive board, they kick it back out, you run another 14 seconds, run more sets. So his 8 offensive rebounds were huge. But, you know, he doesn't demand the ball. Again, they've got a nice team. Monty's done a great job, by the way. Coach of the year, Monty Williams, has just done a wonderful job with the Suns. But he doesn't need the ball. He rolls hard. He gets it. He gets outrun. He had 2 or 3 runouts where he gets layups by himself, where he actually just outran the Lakers' big men. And if you can get layups, in fact, have fast break situations as a big guy, you're so efficient. And I'm really impressed with his rebounding, his lack of. He doesn't need a lot of shots to be efficient for that team, and he doesn't force much. And you look at their team, Devin will force a few shots, but he's got that ability to make those. They don't have a lot of guys. Crowder doesn't force shots. You know, Chris Paul. They don't force a lot of stuff. They just play a nice flow. It's got a nice feel, and Ayton was just unbelievably efficient the whole night.
The team was, as you mentioned. I mean, 46% from the field, this team, for the entirety of the game. To Kevin's point, Sam, what can you say of the culture change that has happened underneath Monty Williams' leadership?
Well, you said it. It started in the bubble. They went 8-0, one of the most talked about teams in the bubble, and it has transferred over. And you look at the addition of Chris Paul and what Monty Williams has done. And I like that timeout where he talked about, look, we're built for this. We've put the work in and the time, and at some point, Mac can tell you this, he's been on that throne. When he played for the Boston Celtics, he's been sitting on top of the mountaintop. But at some point, Mac can tell you, you get older, everybody comes down on the other side of that mountaintop. Yep. And right now, if you're the Phoenix Suns, you got to be looking at knocking off these Lakers. Look, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You took game 1 at home. Game 2 is going to be terribly important, just as important, because you want to go back to L.A. up 2-0. But if L.A. can get this next game, Mac, all for naught, then it's a new series. But it doesn't start until the road team wins the game.
No question. And Sam, I'll tell you what, never let that old dog get some life, because you start letting LeBron get a little life. He doesn't, even in the play-in game, he didn't look like he had much explosion. He got to the hoop, he got to places, but he didn't finish. And boy, if he gets his legs underneath him and AD finds a rhythm, but right now, the Suns are in great position because the Lakers are out of rhythm. Those old dogs, you do get beat up, and I love LeBron. He's like one of my favorite players. I just love the way he plays. I love the way he goes about his business. He passes the ball, he rebounds, he does everything. But Father Time's catching up with him. At a certain point, I don't care who you are. He defied it for a long time, but it's going to catch him. And I'm sure the Suns are hoping it does. But to Sam's point, you go ahead and mess around and let the Lakers win that next game.
Right.
A lot of things change. Because we were those old dogs. We were those old dogs for a long time. A lot of teams that maybe had a good chance to beat us let us get our nose in the door. And we fought our way in and stole a series for them. So you gotta close them out if you get a chance.
Well, we'll talk a lot more about LeBron and the Lakers, but Monty Williams is set down now to address the media.
Yeah, Coach, congrats on the win, but obviously Chris is the, focal. What's the status of his shoulder?
I don't know the particulars of what happened. I was so locked into the game. I just know he was sore. I talked to him briefly just now, and his words to me was, he was okay and he'll be okay going forward. But he was pretty sore when he came back. But him playing today gave us a lot of juice, a lot of energy. It was inspirational to watch him out there giving his all on both ends of the floor. We'll have something more official as we go forward, but right now I don't have much.
Quick follow, Coach. You've always talked about leaning on the defense, and you feel like that was the difference tonight with you guys?
Yeah, I mean we've been trying to impress upon our guys in the playoffs. Defense and rebounding translates. A lot of the time, their plays, they know your plays, and it comes down to being able to properly space, and you got to make shots. But the defense and the rebounding is something that can translate from the regular season to postseason. And our defense was decent tonight. Those guys missed shots for sure. I don't want to say too much until I watch the film, but the effort was there on both sides of the ball. I mean, both teams were just going blow for blow, and we came out on the positive side tonight.
Next up is Sierra Santos with Fox 10, followed by Kellen Olson.